Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this installment of the CORBEL webinar series. Today, we're very pleased to have with us Andrea Rutte from BBMRI-ERIC, and she's going to talk about the BBMRI-ERIC Quality Management Services for basic and applied research on human specimens. My name is Vera Notzer, and I'm involved in the CORBEL project on behalf of AMBIL EBI, and I'll be hosting today's webinar. I'll also be manning the question function. Now, before I introduce today's speaker, I'd like to make you aware that the webinar is being recorded, and we will make the webinar available afterwards on YouTube CORBEL website. We have reserved some time at the end for questions and discussion. Now, if you would like to ask a question, I would ask you to please write it in the GoToWebinar control panel, as you can see on this slide, and we'll go through the questions at the end. I'd like to briefly introduce the CORBEL project to you. CORBEL is an Horizon 2020 funded project bringing together 13 research infrastructures in the biomedical science. CORBEL aims to transform the understanding of biomedical mechanisms and help to translate them into medical care. Now, modern biological and biomedical research involves complex projects which often combine different technologies and operate at the interface between different disciplines. What CORBEL aims to do these projects by harmonizing access and services for research involving more than one research infrastructure, which could be biological and medical technologies or biological samples and data services. Now, today's presenter is Andrea Rutte. She's been leading the BBMRI-ERIC Quality Management Services since 2014. The service includes quality management consultancy programs for biomedical relevant, biobank relevant standards and guidelines, monitoring and audit programs, training and education formats, but also assessments and the initiation of improvement strategies, respectively actions and accompanying measures. Andrea holds a European Quality Manager and Lead Auditor EOQ Personnel Certificate, and she also acts as the BBMRI-ERIC Liaison Officer to a number of ISO working groups. She's a biologist by training, and at this point I'm going to hand over to Andrea.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Vera, for this very kind introduction. I'm very pleased that I have the chance to speak in your webinar series about BBMRI-ERIC Quality Management Services. And these services are built up for basic and applied researchers and also for biobanks, which are working with human specimens and handling human specimens, storing human specimens, but also have to know what kind of standards are available that can be implemented in these procedures, but also what is in the pipeline and how to read a standard, what new standards will involve in some years. So this is mainly what I try to give to our community. So what I would like to do now is to give you an idea who we are. BBMRI-ERIC is the research structure for biobanks and molecular resources, and we are present in 20 countries, and we are connecting more than 500 biobanks in Europe. And we are trying to bring together the biobankers, but also the researchers, also the decision makers, the patients, and industry partners and healthcare professionals. So you can see here the map with the members, and in the light blue, the observer countries. And maybe you are in such a hosted in, or you live in such a country, then you have also the possibility to access our services. we have the world's biggest biobank directory, which means that we have from more than 500 biobanks, even more than 100 million samples stored. And this can be searched, and we have a single entry point, and this is our directory. We offer different services, not only quality management services, but we also offer IT expertise and IT tools, and this very huge directory, but also we support our community with ethical and legal and societal issues. So when we, and today is my topic, of course, and this is my main field of expertise. It's the quality and the quality management of organizations. And in our organization, researcher is the main person. The researcher is the main person who we want to reach, because we want them to be able to produce reliable findings in their research projects, and that's why we also have to provide them with sample and data of the highest and appropriate defined quality. And our ultimate goal is to make samples comparable from hospital to hospital, from country to country, and over Europe, and in future hopefully also comparable between countries, also worldwide. When we think of a biobank, then biobanking is one stop in a whole process, and the process of medical research starts on different entry points in the hospital, in a research question within the hospital, in a PhD program. But the main course, the main starting point is the doctor and the patient, and a set of process starts after the doctor has invited the patient to donate a sample, and the patient agrees. Then the sample is taken in the hospital with different collection procedures. It goes into the laboratory or is analyzed at first. It could also be seen as the result of a surgery, and it goes to the pathologist and to the pathology department. Images are done. Maybe if you have a different entry port, the researcher is building up a cohort or is constantly putting samples to a cohort that he has built up. So the biobank is somewhere within this value chain. The samples can be stored directly in the biobank, can be reused from the biobank, but it has a very important role in the whole value chain. The storage facilities in the biobanks fulfill the requirements of the need, how the samples has to be stored. Big data will come out of the medical records, but also from the data that comes out of the sample and the lab, and that everything is from the researcher perspective. It ends into, in the best case and in the good case, to a publication. So you inform other researchers about your findings, and but you always have to take care that quality assurance and quality control is on is important, and I think a very important step on each of these process chain stops. That means you have to quality control at first how the patient is treated, how the samples are collected, what kind of vac containers you're using, how is the transport to the lab, how was everything done, the whole process done in all these process chain. And that means that there is a lot of quality management needed, that at the end the healthcare system has a benefit out of what the researcher is doing. It has an effect on costs. It has an effect on new developed medical devices, new medicines, new whatever is needed to support human health. So biobanks and the researchers, but also the industry, of course, in parts, do have a huge impact on the healthcare system, of course, and the researchers should be aware that that this quality must be protected. So what did BBMRI-ERIC do? So first, in the beginning, we started to set up a partner charter where we say all our partners should comply to a minimum of quality understanding. And here the most important part is all partners should commit themselves to implement quality management, also quality control steps, procedures compliant with applicable European and international standards. OECD best practices are a very valuable source of knowledge, and WHO and IARC guidelines, the common minimum technical standards for protocols for biobanks dedicated to cancer research, are important publications for researchers, and that standard operation procedure process descriptions are established and be available for all processes related to the sample processing. So this was the beginning, and what we have done is we built up a quality management network, and this network currently consists of more than 109 participants. So we try to reach all our members and observers, researchers and biobankers to give them the information they need to enable biobanking and research on the highest quality and excellence. So you can see here, these are the main partners in the different country. Some countries send more people and some less, but we are constantly working in enlarging our community. These partners, and you will see these partners are very important because they are the ones who can also support you within the country. So it's not only the BBMRI headquarter that can give you services, but also, and most importantly, the experts from the country, from the different countries. So what do we offer? For what kind of quality management services do we offer? We offer a three-pillar thing. So first of all, something like a knowledge hub, and this is also what I'm now doing. I present also to a community which is not directly the BBMRI biobanking community, but the outreach community, which also are part of the whole value chain, with information about international standards, what kind of standards may be relevant for the organization, and also we are offering quality management services in EU-funded projects, but also in national and international research projects. We do this webinar-based, and we also do this in form of counseling or advice services. Then we have the pillar training and support. Here we can say whatever standard is relevant for you, we can give you sorry for that, we can give you more insight into this standard. We have here online trainings. These are for members of BBMRI-ERIC. That means that we go more in detail about the things and discuss very detailed standards, how to implement standard, how to solve problems and questions when standards has to be implemented in the daily routine. We give information and training on general requirement quality management systems, which are maybe not specific like this, and you see it on the left side, ISO 20387. I will come to this standard also, which is the new biobanking standard, but there are other standards that may be relevant for our community as well. So, and then we have integrated management systems, interface management systems. So if you are in a hospital as researcher, or if you are a PhD student, and you will know that you are part of a system, and the system is not only your department, it's also the lab, which is a different department, or the pathologist, which is again a different department, but you have to show the quality assurance of your workflow. So that means that you have interfaces, and you can integrate other management systems into your system as well, so that management systems are not built up like silos, but are integrated. We give advice and give services on this as well. Then we do it in-house training, so we can be called and we come to your office, we look what you have, we give you advice what you should build up or whatever you need. We offer workshops, summer schools, master courses. And then we have the third pillar, that is the auditing. The auditing, whatever we train, we can also audit. Auditing is a term that is not very liked in our community. So you can say peer review, you can say internal audit, but it's kind of in our system, it's not that we accreditate or certify a organization, but we can help them to go in that direction. So if your organization has the thought to go for a specific ISO standard and wants to be certified against it because it's important for this organization, we can help you to go that step, because that probably, if you don't have a running quality management system, it will take you some time to build that up, and we have experience in that. And then we can also offer a BBMRI-ERIC internal audit. That means that we can, on request, of course, if you request us, we can come to you, we can do an audit, you can look how an audit works. Some never experienced how an audit works. So we can give you a very good introduction in this kind of system. So, but our major goal is to serve you, to bring you to an third-party certificate, meaning that a independent body from your standardization organization, which is an accredited organization, comes to your house and say, okay, what you have done is great, I can give you the accreditation or certification. So this is mainly our services, and what we also want to say today is that the services in the BBMRI-QM service in the EU-funded project, you can see all these projects where we are part of on our website. But this video I want to bring out as an important project where we take part, because in this project new standards, new technical specifications are developed, and these technical specifications are of very much that are very important for your daily procedure when you are working in a lab, when you are a PhD student, when you do sample processing, and of course when you are a biobanker, you should also be aware that the samples that come into your biobank has fulfill some criteria that are expressed in technical specifications. Liaison to ISO technical committees, this is an important part. This is also a service for our members. Most of our community didn't know upfront that ISO technical committees exist. The world of ISO is not so well known within the research community. So it was our task to spread these news. As I said today, the standards are not falling from the sky, they are developed, and these standards are developed in such technical committees, and that is what, and that is really a nice slogan, when the world agrees, and that means that in these technical committees, the different countries, the different of the world are present and send their experts, and those experts come together and draft a standard, which is then published and then can be used by us all. As example, the biobanking standard. The biobanking standard is called 2387. It was published this year. It has a 5-year development, and 13 member countries participated, 14 observer countries, 7 liaison organizations, including BBMRI-ERIC, and more than 150 experts contributed to the development of this new standard, which is very relevant for the biobanking community, of course. So the standard is called Biotechnology Biobanking General Requirements for Biobanking. And you can see on the right side, this is the route that this standard development goes before it is at the end published. So where you get this standard, if you're interested, it's so easy. You just Google 2387, then you come to the ISO site, and there is a buy button, and of course this is something that is it costs around €100, but this is not a huge money, but you get it as a PDF, and then you have it, and maybe your library already, or in your university library, you can ask if they purchase it for you. But this should be a standard document in your daily routine. So the standard looks like this. It is 20 pages or more. I don't know it by heart. I think it's 30 pages, 35 pages. And it has a table of content in the beginning, and then you can see all these chapters. And the chapters are important for the biobanking community because terms and definitions are outlined in the beginning, which is very important because it's always the question, what is biobanking? What is biological material? What is a biobank? And this is explained here, and we take this and we will adapt our language and our to that, so that we all speak from the same thing at the end. The scope of the standard is that it specifies general requirements, including quality control requirements, to ensure the competence and impartiality and consistent operation of biobanks, to ensure biological material and data collections of appropriate quality. That is the main goal, and it's applicable for biobanking of human, animal, plant, and microorganism resources for research and development. We can also say that biobank users, regulatory authorities, and other organizations, accreditation bodies can use this document. So it is not for food production or for therapeutic use, and international, national, and regional regulation or requirements can also apply to specific topics covered in this document. And there are other notes, and then in this standard, and this is also what we explain within other standards that are available, the setup is always the same. It has general information, then it has more detailed information, general information in the chapters, and detailed information is coming next. Then you can see here as an example in chapter 4, it has impartiality and confidentiality as a key point, and to this you have phrases what a biobank shall implement and shall do in their daily operations. Resource requirements are mentioned, personal training competence, facilities, external provided processes, equipment, how to work with the equipment, how to maintain equipment, and these are very important parts. And then we have the process requirements described in there, how to collect biological material and associated data, and one important point here is also the collection procedure, and here I will come to that later, because that is the link to technical specification for a specimen. And because how you process, how you transport, how you store, how your fixation is done, how your isolation is done, may have an impact on your result, on your research result. If you do something wrong, if you leave it too long on the bench, if your transport is too warm, too cold, too I don't know what, then you may have false positive or false negative end results. And this is not what a researcher wants at the end. But this gives you the requirements and the information how you should proceed. Then you also have here the reception and distribution of biological material and associated data, how the transport and of material and associated data should take place, traceability, preparation and preservation, the storage, and how you quality control your biological material and also your associated data, how the processes are set up and have to be set up, how you quality control the data. Then validation and verification of method is a very important point. If you, when you shall validate what, when you verificate your processes, then also how you manage your information and data. And it also has a point on non-conforming output, meaning that if something is not as you would expect or your customer gives you a complaint, what are you doing then? Is there a process in place? How do you adapt or how do you improve your processes that non-conforming output is not going to occur in the or to happen in the future again? Then how do you report all these, how you the requirements to the report is stated. What is the content of a report? What shall be reported? And then also complaints. How do you handle complaints? How is your complaint management? And This is expressed in this standard, and then you have the quality management system requirements, and here it comes, some biobanks and other facilities have an ISO 9001, which is not a very specific standard, but it helps you to quality control your processes. And if you have 9001 already certified in your organization, and you would also like to go for 15189, or you want to go for this biobanking standard, how do you integrate this? And this is something that is explained in our with our services. I pointed on one chapter 7 on the collection procedure and the SAN technical specification and ISO technical specification for pre-examination processes is here the key. So and this is very old slide, and I will keep it, I think, for a long time because I like it very much. It's 2011. There are a lot of publication afterwards, but Lippe et al. In Italy said that pre-analytical errors still account for nearly 60 to 70% of all our problems in the laboratory diagnostics, most of them attributable to mishandling procedure during collection, handling, preparing, or storing the specimens. That means that this is exactly what can happen when you process as researcher a sample, and that is a complaint. That's it's a customer complaint in the quality management world, but we faced this complaint and we did something about it. And what happened was, after all these other complaints from very good publications, we built up technical specifications. And this procedure was also started years ago, and in a EU-funded project called SPEDIA, specimen types were analyzed, and these technical specifications were drafted, meaning that when you have, for instance, here like the snap frozen tissues, and you want to isolate RNA, that's the intended use, this technical specification, you can also say standard to it, gives you a important information how you should process from the donor to the isolation of RNA, and how to store it and how to quality control it. We have the same for isolating proteins. We have formalin fixed paraffin embedded tissue technical specifications, and we have also 3 for venous whole blood, and we have urine, serum, plasma technical specifications already published and ready for use. And this is important to know. You can search those also in the same way as I explained it for the ISO standard. You can type in this number, or you type in or you go simply to the SAN EU website from the standardization organization, and you Google these technical specification, or you can go in our website and you search there for the link to this technical specification. It is of value for your research procedure. We have on one hand this published, and we have a lot of new technical specification in the pipeline, and you can see here for venous whole blood circulating tumor and organ cells for the intended use for DNA, RNA, proteins, and staining procedures, venous whole blood exosomes for cell-free circulating RNA, for saliva, frozen tissues, DNA, urine, and other body fluids, for cell-free DNA, fine needle aspirates, saliva and stool microbiomes is on the way, and FFPE tissue in situ staining procedures. This might be of interest for your research. what is the scope? It is these technical specifications give you recommendations for the handling, documentation, and processing of these specific specimen types for the specific intended analysis due, and it looks at the pre-analytical phase before a molecular assay is performed. So meaning that everything that you do before the sample comes to the pathologist or to the lab. And the documents are applicable or relevant for commercial organizations, for manufacturers of in vitro diagnostic institutions, but also for organizations who are performing biomedical research, biobanks, and regulatory authorities. So important for you, and as you see on the left, it looks the same. So it has a scope, it has different chapters, and it says how you should process your specific specimen. It gives you a collection manual, what you should file on information of the sample donor, how you process, how you transport, how you fixate, how you evaluate, how the evaluation of the pathology shall take place, post-fixation, processing, embedding, and then quality control of RNA, DNA, proteins, because this has an impact on the pre-analytical workflow steps on specimen quality and time dependencies of analyte integrity. So you see a lot what can help you. As I said before, integrated management systems. Here our service is that we let you know and give you training if needed and requested on how to integrate standards into your daily routine, and if you have interfaces to other departments, and if they have standards in their organization, how to combine these. So this is one of our services as well. Increasing the visibility, that is another service. So what we have done is that we want those biobanks and those collections be visible for reuse. So these standards help to assure the quality of the sample, and then also impart how you control the quality of the sample. And what we have done is we put on this technical specification or on this ISO standards, the self-assessment survey. That means we filed a checklist that you can use to assess a specific collection that you are working with. And you can have access to this BBMRI-ERIC self-assessment survey, and you have to fulfill some preconditions. One is that you are part of the member and observer state, but you also can access, if you are not a member or observer of us, you just get in contact with us, and then we will see what we can do. You should have contact to your coordination office of your national node, so where you come from the country. If you don't have these connections, I will build it up for you so that you have really good service provision from your own country. And one thing is requested, you should and you shall have this standard also in your hand, because a self-assessment survey is nothing when you don't have the standard. How does the assessment process take place? That is simple. You access via our website. You will be granted access when you fulfill this criteria, or I help you to be able to fulfill this criteria. Then you complete the self-assessment survey, and this automatically gives you a report. You can use it internally. You can say, okay, that's my report. I print it out. I file it. I add it to my quality management documents, or I submit it to BBMRI-ERIC. Submitting it to BBMRI-ERIC means that it lands on my desk, and then I will do a remote audit with you. based on a self-assessment. So I'm not going there. This is done on a remote audit system. We Skype, we do a Delco, and I clarify with you the different questions, and if necessary, you may give me some of your information, documented information. So you can submit it to me or not. But what happens when you submit this self-assessment to BBMRI-ERIC? It is then we will mark the collection you have assessed in our directory. And as I said, we have more than 500 biobanks with more than 100 million samples and collections. And these collections can be marked as meeting the requirements of this specific standard. I think that sounds plausible, so that's not a big deal. But what is the output? The user who is looking for samples and is using our directory and is searching for a specific serum or plasma, or is looking for DNA, then he can see, okay, this is the biobank who has the sample collection. Okay, they have a lot of collections, but they have already some collections assessed for the quality. This is something that is very difficult to do in the past, but we ask and all researchers and biobanks to do it from now on, meaning all samples that land in our biobank, all samples that you're using, please assess the quality, please assess the standards to that. So it's not so hard. Then we also have the auditing service, which we will start next year. Here we go on the basic principles of auditing. We do this based on the auditing guideline from ISO 19011, and we will very soon have this concept paper, which is under development, in a final version next year, and we will publish it. And so an audit or a training or a quality service can be requested on demand, or if you want to have a service from us. So this was it. In short, this are our services to the community. Everything works, of course, as we know, only with fundings, European fundings on different European Horizon 2020 research programs, and I mention here too, it's the Adopt BBMRI-ERIC and it's the SPEED-F4P, which gave some money to build this up. And that was my last slide, and thank you for the attention.
Thank you. So we'll have a little bit of time for questions now. So if you have a question, then please add it to the question function of the GoToWebinar panel. While you have a chance to write them, we always allow people to submit questions in advance as well. So we'll start with some of those, but please continue to add questions. So Andrea, the first question that I have is, what interactions or synergies exist or can be developed between quality services in biobanks and the rules enforced by GDPR?
Yes, so we know that ISO standards are not regulatory and are not replacing any rules and regulatory requirements. But what they do is that they form in their requirements phrases where you have to have documented information that you fulfill the requirements of a regulatory requirement, and GDPR is one of it. So when you have this biobanking standard, for instance, there are different chapters there. Already in chapter 1, in the subclause 416, it says that the biobank shall comply with relevant regional, national, and international ethical principles for biological material and associated data. Then we have in the Annex A, we do have also the requirement that addresses directly that the biobank documentation and operation shall facilitate and verify compliance with applicable requirements, including regulations. So that means that it is the duty of a biobank, it's the duty of the organization to fulfill all relevant regulatory requirements and have documented information, have trained people, have improvement processes, and has the obligation to constantly reach out and be up to date with the regulation. So this is written in the standard, and this is also a help in the standard, because when you take this standard and GDPR is one topic, then you have a documented procedure in your quality management system that describes how you process and how you safeguard GDPR within your organization.
Okay, thank you for that answer. We've had a few other questions submitted. So the first one is around the ISO 2387 standard that came out this year. And it says the standard is neither for accreditation nor for certification at this time. And do you have any more information about this process?
Yes, unfortunately, not yet. So because the standard is very new, it has also a phase where it's integrated into this standardization organization of every country. So it is also that not every country already published or make available this 2387 on their own web page. So therefore, because it's so brand new, and I assume that next year we will have more information about the first organizations or accredited organizations who can certify or accredit you against the standard. But I think this is the last question I would have, because first step is to purchase it, to read it, to implement it, and then, and that is the most important thing. It is not always, and I'm a big fan of accreditation and certification. I did a lot, but the first step is that you implement the requirements into your daily processes. So, and if you have a good running quality management according to 2387, and I assume it will take you almost a year that you have this in place, then I'm sure the accreditation and certification bodies will be able also to give you an official certificate on that. So I think this is something now. If you go ahead and do it, you will face a lot of new requirements there which you might not have thought of. So and if you are on this way and you have questions, please come to us and we will help you.
Okay, thank you. The next question is, what is the basic infrastructure of your directory services?
What is the basic infrastructure?
Yes, of your directory services. So I don't know whether maybe what's meant is what kind of backend. Maybe if you've asked, maybe you can clarify a little bit.
Yes, please, because I don't understand exactly what is meant with that.
I'm just waiting for an answer, but I'm wondering if it's related to what kind of platform it is based on.
The IT platform?
Maybe.
Yes, okay. When it comes to IT, I think I'm not the right person to answer the questions, because here we do have my colleague Petra Holub. He is managing in BBMRI-ERIC the IT and support services. Unfortunately, I don't know on which platform the directory works on. But if the question is where do you get access to this directory, here I would like to say that you access it via our webpage, and on the top of our webpage you find services, and then you see directory, and when you click on this, then you will enter the directory. But I don't know which kind of platform the directory has. I'm sorry for that, but if this is a relevant question, please write me an email and I will put you through my colleague.
Okay, thank you. I haven't had a follow-on, so I assume that probably covers the answer. So those are the questions we have for today. So Andrea, I'd like to thank you very much for presenting today. I'd like to thank everyone. Now, we will be going on a winter break, but our webinar series will be back in January, and we'll be updating the website in the next week or so about our January webinars. Now, as I said, our webinars are recorded, and it takes us a few days to edit them, but afterwards they will be made available on the CORBEL website and the YouTube channel. So if you go to the CORBEL website under webinars and past webinars, then the video will appear in a couple of days' time. So thank you very much, and hope to see you in January.